Hello creative cooks, welcome back to another episode of the Creative Phebe Cooks channel. I'm Phebe and I hope you're doing well. Today I'm making groundnut soup, also known as Domoda in the Gambia and peanut soup in other parts of the world. So if you've been meaning to make this recipe for a while now, then this is your sign. If you're allergic to peanut butter or peanuts of any kind, I'll share a few nut alternatives you can opt for so you're able to make this heartwarming soup without any restrictions. Let's get right to it by preparing a few ingredients that are essential to the making of this dish. I've got here some sea snail. This will not make or break your dish, but if you have it, use it. You only need a small amount to add another layer of flavor to this dish. Sea snail is a phenomenal source of iodine, which is lacking in a lot of salts these days, yet essential for our body's optimal health. So if you have it, use it. Next, I'm going to prepare some aromatics for this recipe, damoda, and as well as a creamy tomato pasta recipe I'll be sharing with you on Sunday. These aromatics include onions, garlic, as well as a few vegetables of my choice that I'll be adding to the groundnut soup. Now, damoda is typically made with protein sources like beef, chicken, or fish, with the addition of fish being one of my favorite. But in this video, I'll be replacing those proteins with red lentils for a no-fuss plant-based option. So if you subscribe to plant-based or vegan diet, or just want to try out a plant-based version of Domodah, feel free to add this dish to your list of meals to make without any hesitation. Alright, moving on to my array of vegetables. I'm going to be cutting up some aubergine into smaller pieces. Whether they are large or small aubergines, cut them into pieces in such a way that they'll be able to cook through when you add them to the soup. After cutting them, steep them in water so that they don't get brown during the initial phase of the cooking process. I also have here some carrots. I'm going to cut off the tops and cut the carrots at a slant and also add them to the water together with the aubergine so they too don't dry out and that they don't turn brown. I'm also adding in some tomatoes, which is an essential ingredient to the making of groundnut soup. So do not skip it. Using juicy tomatoes like beefsteak or plum tomatoes is right for this recipe. If you're using canned tomatoes, aim for can labels that say whole peeled tomatoes, not crushed, not diced, so you can get close to the original state of the tomatoes at the time of their harvesting. Next, I have here some okra that I previously stored in the freezer from a previous recipe. I'll be adding it to the damoda for a pop of color, flavor, together with habanero peppers, which I always have on hand. Hello, Creative Cook. I hope you're enjoying this episode. Hey, if you're wondering how I do keep track of how much protein is in each ingredient while I'm making these recipes, as well as recipes I've made prior on my channel, I do have a high protein food list, all plant-based, that you can download. Be sure to check out the description so you can get your free copy, and you can always print it out to have as a reference guide while you're planning out your meals for the week or the month in advance. Also, if you find it a bit clueless as to where to begin when it comes to planning out your meals, let's say you're on a new transformation journey, fitness, lifestyle, whatever it is, be sure to book a session for meal plan coaching. I only have a few spots in the week. So sign up using the link in the description box below, and we'll connect soon. Enjoy the rest of this video. Next, I have here a jar of homemade peanut butter. That is the main ingredient for this recipe, making it a peanut soup. I have a detailed video coming up soon showing you how I made a batch of peanut butter from scratch that you can use in your recipes like this groundnut soup I'm making in this video. If you're allergic to peanut butter, you can use roasted cashews or roasted almond butter, which are a great substitute for peanut butter in this recipe. I've tried all three and all work well. Add the peanut butter to the pot. If you still have some peanut butter left in the container, add some water to it, shake it up really well, then add it to the pot so that no peanut butter goes to waste. Next, add in some water, the habanero peppers, onions, and tomatoes, together with some rich tomato paste. This is what makes the base of this peanut butter soup. I'm using an immersion blender to grind all the ingredients in the pot, but alternatively, you can use a tall glass blender if you want a quick way to blend everything at once, and especially if you desire a smoother consistency for the base of this dish. If you're looking for an easier method to reduce the amount of cleanup you have to do after making all the dishes you make on that particular day you make this dish, then this is a great method to opt for by using the immersion blender. Add in that sea snail if you have it to start releasing its flavor, then cover the pot and turn on your stove to high to bring the contents in the pot to a rolling boil, while keeping an eye on it so it doesn't overflow. It definitely has a tendency to overflow, so just be sure to watch it so it doesn't happen, because you don't want to do all of that work for nothing. Let the contents boil for about 10 minutes, then stir the contents. Reduce the heat for this and don't cover the pot all the way to minimize the chances of your pot overflowing. Continue to boil the contents for another 30 to 40 minutes. I know that sounds like a long time, but here's the thing. The goal is for the oil from the peanut butter to rise to the surface of the soup. And that's when you know the peanut butter is well cooked to make this soup what it needs to be. And it's also an indication that you're almost done cooking. See that floating reddish oil you see after I opened the pot? That's what to look for before getting to the next step. At this point, you can add in your chicken or fish if you prefer, but I'm adding in the quartered eggplants since they need a bit of a longer cooking time compared to the red lentils. I'll season the soup with salt and extra red roasted chili pepper or cayenne pepper if you have that. In my case, I'm using the chili peppers, and if you want more heat, add more. If you want less heat, taste the soup before adding in more pepper. I'm measuring out some red lentils which almost match the color of the soup, which is a great touch. And they also cook in less time, about 8 to 10 minutes, when they will be completely cooked through. Wash the red lentils until the water runs clear. That will take about 5 to 7 washes, depending on how much red lentils you need for the soup. If you're using green or brown lentils or even beluga lentils, you will definitely need a longer time for them to cook through. So be sure to plan in advance for that. You can also add them a few minutes before adding in the eggplants, but also after soaking those lentils at least a few hours before cooking time. That also helps them to cook through in a short amount of time, so it doesn't take too long for the recipe to come together. Creative Cook, if you're loving this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up, because if you're still watching, you're definitely loving it, and I have a feeling that you might make it pretty soon as well. Also, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new uploads I share here. After washing the red lentils, set them aside and prepare some fresh lemon juice. This right here also cannot be skipped. It adds a nice layer of dimensional flavor to the groundnut soup, so be sure to add in as much fresh lime or lemon juice you need to complement every other flavor factor that makes this groundnut soup what it is. If you want the soup to be a bit more tart, opt for lime juice instead of lemon juice, since lemon juice can be a bit on the sweeter side. The lime juice or lemon juice also reduces the earthy flavor you get from the soup. It also reduces the gamey flavor you get from the soup if you're adding in chicken, or the fishy flavor of the soup. You get what I'm going with this. Next, add in the red lentils and stir it in until well coated with the groundnut soup. Then let the contents cook and simmer before adding in the lime juice and the remaining vegetables. For the full recipe and proper measurements of each ingredient I used to make this recipe, I have the full breakdown for you on my website. Be sure to check out that link in the description box below so you're able to make this recipe anytime you want. It's perfect to warm you up on those cold winter days that seem to stay longer than they're welcome. After adding in the okra and the habanero pepper, give this soup another good stir, making sure that there are no contents sticking to the bottom of the pot so that it doesn't encourage any burning. Let the contents cook for another 5 to 7 minutes so everything gets well infused with the aroma of the groundnut soup before it's time to feast. There you have it, Creative Cook. I'm serving this absolutely delicious groundnut soup with rice. You can serve it with gari, cassava, or African yam, or whatever starch or carbohydrate you prefer. Now, regardless of the time of the year, this is one of those dishes I love making when I want to feel extra good on the inside to satisfy a particular food craving, and I'm sure you are going to love it. I'm wasting no time here. So if you're loving this video, I'm sure you're going to love other recipes I have in this month's series of Gambian recipes. I have a playlist for that on my channel with a link in the description box below to get you inspired for your next meal prep session. If you made this recipe, let me know in the comment section below whether it was your first time, what you enjoyed about it, everything. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to share this video as well with a loved one and download your high protein food list. We'll chat again in my next episode. Later!